Hey guys, how you doing? Happy Friday. We're going to be going over the week ending March 27th for the old school RuneScape market analysis. Thank you for joining me today. We had a lot to talk about this week, so I'm just going to jump right in. We have the agenda. We had the league's intro post on March 23rd, going over what's going to be happening with the leagues. We have the league self and bonds that I was talking about last week. We had some gathering quality of life and LMS changes blog come out on the 26th. We're going to go over the sailing market review from last week, and we had some items and indexes that I wanted to go over that I made over the week. So let's jump right in here. It's going to be kind of a long one, so I'm going to try to put cards at the bottom for the areas that you care about if you want to skip some of this, but we're just going to get in here. So let me move my camera here. So we had the leagues blog come out on the 23rd. They announced the new leagues. And they are teasing the league's relics every day. They're announcing a new relic, so if you care about that, I'll put the link to the blog in the description. They also provided the starting area and some other general information. It starts in Varlamore, which is kind of cool. And Misthalin you cannot go to at all, which is also kind of cool. And Echo bosses are returning as expected, but apparently they're going to be changing them up a little bit, so that'll be interesting to see once we get some more information about that. And then most importantly, it kicked off the sell-off, which I was talking about, and we're going to get into some of those graphs here. We have the bonds here, then I'm going to move my camera, and we're going to look at this. This is the update day right here, March 23rd. As predicted, the bonds went up significantly, about $1 mil. And then we saw some volatile activity throughout the week as they kind of leveled out at around 14. As the weeks go on, I think this trend line is going to stay going up to the right. We're going to see more bonds entering the market, more volume, more volatility as people buy bonds for their accounts, and then people buy bonds with real money in response to sell for a profit. I think the price increase also had an effect here, of course, but we're going to see this, we're going to keep taking a look at this, of course, as a couple weeks go on. But yeah, that's what's happening with the bonds. Most importantly is the item sell-off that's happening. This is the Tunic and Shadow. This is update day right here. So you can see the update had an immediate effect on this. This is just a blog, by the way. This isn't even an update. This is just a blog going over what's happening in leaks. People are already responding by selling off their items. It's not very evident with the scythe here because there really wasn't much activity, just a little bit of volatile behavior right here, and then it kind of plateaued out for the week. Tebow, same thing. This is the update day, a little bit of volatility, and then it kind of did this weird downturn for some reason on the 26th. I'm not really sure what happened here. If anybody knows what's going on with that, there was a bit of a volume swing here, kind of low volume then up, but that's not really abnormal, so I'm not really sure what happened here, unless it was a delayed reaction to the league's announcement. Not really sure what's going on there. Oathplate, all the rare armors are seeing huge decreases in price right now. Oathplate, or the update day, is right here, just on a downward trend, and that's the same is true for Torva and Ancestral and Masori, although Masori's been going down for a while now. But Ancestral was on an upward trend kind of here until the update, until the blog post, and then it came down, and then it's been on this downward trajectory since. Again, I think this behavior is going to continue through leagues. The time leading up to in the first 2 weeks of leagues is always volatile. There's always people buying in because it hits their price target, and then people selling because they're getting ready for leagues. And then this behavior continues until about the first 2 weeks of leagues. And then after the first week of leagues, people start buying their stuff back because everybody plays leagues for the first 2 weeks and they get their trophies, their items, their points, whatever they're trying to get. And then they rebuy all their stuff at a lower price, hopefully. So if you're trying to get in on this, I think now until the first week of leagues is going to be probably the best time to get in. If your price targets are hit at all during these next couple weeks, I think it's a good time to buy. The worry of am I going to lose money if I buy too early is obviously present, but again, I think in the long run these are going to recover and be a little bit higher than they are now and at this point as well, because we're going to see upward pressure once people start coming off of leagues. So I think anytime you buy in the next couple weeks is going to be a good time. I don't think you should worry too much about losing money unless this is like going to break the bank. So I would, highly consider, weighing your options and timing it right if you want to try. But like I said, I think the next couple weeks, the volatility that we're seeing, you could put it in a low and probably get in at a good price, and then you're going to see it go up once people start coming back from leagues. This happens every year. This is not new behavior. And if you look at the full chart histories, you can see that the price recovers, you know, pretty soon after. So just something to keep in mind if you're looking to buy any of these items. I mean, they're all at, you know, recent historic lows. Oath Plate for sure is at a recent historic low. That's been hovering around 100 mil for the last few months. So if you're in the market for Oath Plate, now's a good time. But moving right along here, we have the raids indexes. They're all down. All the raids indexes are down because people are, you know, selling their items and they're going down because of leagues, and they're not doing it as much, I guess. I know Mocha is very popular right now. It's very good money. I think it's the best money in the game. So, you know, raids in general are down. I mean, the shadow is just down horrendous. I think the TOA index, I think it's down here. These are the TOA indexes, are down so bad. Even with shadow, I think is this red one is down a little bit above 50. Which is terrible. I mean, you know, the raids are not performing super well right now, especially TOA. So, you know, you can see the main raid index is this line right here is down on a 100 basically. And I think that's being held up a lot by the scythe, because the scythe is just, you know, egregiously priced relative to the other items in the raid. Moving along here, we had a Gathering Quality of Life and LMS changes come out on the 26th yesterday. The gem bag upgrade is being added to include opals, jades, and topazes using some of the new sailing cloths, you know, like linen, hemp, and cotton. I think they're using to make a new gem bag that gets added to the current gem bag that it can hold all the gems. Kind of cool. I know people have been asking for that for a long time, so that's cool to see. The infernal tools are going to be able to be recharged with the smoldering stone. We're going to see if that had any effect on the smoldering stones next week. As markets respond to that. I don't think it'll have a huge effect, but it'll be interesting to look at nonetheless. And they're adding a new NPC to the Brimstone Isle, which is, if you don't know, you can smelt cannonballs there faster. I think it's a couple ticks faster. But the problem with that is that the run back to the bank is really long. I think there's only a fairy ring and you have to go to Zenaris or the Chasm of Fire, and it just adds to the time. So like really it kind of balances out with the the reduction in ticks. And then now they're adding an NPC that'll unnote it for you for 100 GP per bar. I don't think much is going to happen market wise with the cannonballs there. I don't think that's going to be anything to write home about in the long run, but we're going to look at it anyway because we have the data, so why not? And then they made a huge LMS change to the reward shops. They're moving all the tradables to Bounty Hunter. Very interesting, significant shakeup. Basically killed the minigame unless they can come up with something else, like maybe adding the Bandos cosmetics that they talked about like 5 years ago. Thoughts, perhaps? Or any of the cosmetics that they had in the chamber a couple of years ago that I was really looking forward to, that were supposed to come out with Emir's Arena and then didn't because I don't know why. Nobody plays it. I don't know. But anyway, they all moved over there. We saw a lot of behavior like this on that day. This was the day of the update, and you can see the price shot up and then recalibrated almost instantly over the next couple hours. But we saw this with all the tradables. I only did the rune pouch because it actually has volume. The other ones don't. I know the rune pouch is probably the most popular item that bots and people buy because it's the rune pouch. Why wouldn't you? And you can see that there was a huge spike in volume down here. I don't know if this is insider information or if people are just holding these for no reason. I don't really know why this volume spike happened, but either way, maybe bot owners sold them off because they were just hoarding them. Not really sure, but the price corrected immediately, and I think we're going to see this with a lot of the items. What's going to be interesting is to see how these items behave when this update comes out. There is a large protest about this in the Reddit, or at least there was when it came out, about why they're doing this. I mean, I think the bots are just going to move to Bounty Hunter when this inevitably comes into the game. I don't really think this is going to have the effect that they think it will in the long term, but immediately, short term, I think this will obviously have an effect. But I'm not really sure the popularity of either of these games. If you guys know or have any insight on which one's more popular, which one is going to have a better effect on this market, let me know. I don't I don't know. I don't really play these games, and I have all the items that I would buy from this, so it's not really my thing. But if you guys are interested or want, you know, more information, or you have more information, please let me know, and I will cover it next week. I'm going to keep taking a look at this graph and the other items, because when this update comes out, we're going to see this change a lot. I think, you know, there's definitely going to be some volatility there, maybe some flipping opportunities. But either way, we're going to move on to the sailing market. So they're still responding to the combat update from last week. All the rares except for the dragon barrel are down, which is expected. You can see on this graph here, this is the the with dragon index has gone down to 40-ish, which is crazy. We're seeing this in all of the rare items. This is the bottled storm, which is at a great price, by the way. Down from 35 to 10 mil in a month, basically a month. Very crazy downturn. That's like 80% almost. I think it's about 80%, which is insane. So if you're in the market for this item, great time to buy. I bought one of these last week for my main boat at 16 mil. I don't regret it because I wasn't paying 35, but you know, 10's an even better price. So I mean, down 30% in basically 3 days is pretty crazy. So if you're in the market for this or any other sailing item, really, they're all at great prices right now. This is the dragon metal sheet, 754 mil. You know, we saw this uptick at the update, kind of balanced out, and then people realized that sailing combat still sucks, and then there was a huge volume increase because the items are more common because combat's easier, because they lifted the restriction, so they're lower now again. Great prices for all these items, like I said. If you're in the market for these, definitely check them out. We have the dragon cannon barrel. Not much has happened here either. There was a bit of a downturn right here, a bit of a volume spike as well. I'm gonna guess somebody was holding on to a bunch of these. It might have even been that guy that was on Reddit a couple weeks ago talking about how he was hoarding these. I'm not sure, but there's a bit of a tick here and a bit of a downturn. I think this will come up. I mean, I captured this morning, you know, when I was making this PowerPoint. So I think this will rebalance in the next couple days. We're going to keep taking a look at it, obviously. And then I think when they come back with their next proposal, we're going to see this change again and add some more volatility to this already pretty volatile situation we have going on here. Next up, we have some items and indexes I built. So this is a prayer index that I built. Well, not an index. These are just graphs for the prayer items, common prayer bones. What I found most interesting about this is this lava dragon bone graph here. It's price spike like crazy, you know, up from like 4,000 to 14,000. I'm gonna guess this is a bot nuke or some sort of bot interference going on here, but what I found interesting is that it correlates directly with a very steep decrease in price for the other top tier bones. This is superior up top, and you know, this went down from what, about 25k down to 16. We had 15 down to 12, almost 9 here. You know, just really interesting behavior, and I don't really know why. If you guys have any insight on this, you know, let me know. I mostly made this graph just to track to see if prayer was worth training at this time. The graph doesn't look great, but this is all the way back in 2022 that this started. So I mean, relative to now, you know, the last couple months, you know, it's pretty good. I know dragon bones are down pretty significantly, or they were. I think they're back up to about 2,000 now, but they were in a good spot. Hydra bones I know are in a good spot. They're about 7k right now. You know, a lot better than 12 or 10, which is what they used to be. So I think generally it's a pretty good time to start or to get that 77 if you wanted it. I think PVM participation is going to go down during leagues, so these might see a bit of an uptick. You know, we'll have to wait and see. You know, we're going to take a look at this. I built this today, so I'm just going to keep adding to it when more history comes out every week. Moving on here, we have the supply index. Okay, so I built this morning, and I added a bunch of items to it. This is pegged to 2025 January, so if you guys want me to add more to this, I'm going to leave a list of what's in this index in the description. It's only potions and food right now. I didn't do like, you know, demon tiers or like runes or, you know, that kind of stuff. I mostly was doing it for like recovery supplies, like, you know, recovery. But if you want me to add more items to this, please let me know and I will. or remove some. Like I didn't put Marlins in. I didn't put the new Armadillo brew in because they weren't out in 2025, but I can do that. I can move this to 2026 and then take a look from there. And you know, if you want me to do that, please let me know. But either way, supplies are down. Supplies are down relative to 2025. I think this is Mocha, but either way, you know, they were up. You know, this is when obviously PvP was really popular here. And then it's been kind of tapering off as we've seen for the last year. Not much has been added to PvM recently. Mocha, I think, is the most recent addition. Yama before that. So there's not really much going on the PvP front until later this year. So I would expect to see the supply index go down, especially with leagues coming up. I don't see this going up anywhere significantly until a new PvM encounter comes out. You know, we're going to see Blood Moon Rises with its repeatable boss, and then Raids 4 down the line this year. So then we're going to start seeing a lot more upward pressure on this stuff. But right now it's in a good spot, 88 out of 100. So, you know, not much going on the PvM front, it looks like. Then we have runes. I had a comment on my last video asking me to talk about some rune activities. So we're seeing for the year, this is January right here, we're seeing some upward trends here on the runes. A lot of people doing Mocha right now, a lot of people doing, I would assume, Yama, maybe some raids. Runes are generally up. They're kind of coming down now. Over the last week, they're all kind of down except this one and a few down here. These are some of the cheaper ones, but like Ether had this kind of cool parabolic activity going on here. But yeah, we're just seeing, you know, rune usage is of course always going to be there. I mean, it's going up. PvM is happening. People are buying runes. People are making runes. There's a lot of volume all the time. So these are really reliable indicators of, you know, what's going on. So we're just seeing a lot of upward trend here. And I think this is going to taper off and plateau and then come down as leagues approaches. A lot of this is hinging on leagues, if you couldn't tell. I mean, it's always an interesting time when leagues are out because it's just a lot of different market activity happening that I find really interesting. And then that same person was asking me to look at ether rune activity. So this is the graph of all the things that you need to make ether runes. You know, like I said, these are all increasing. Ether runes are up, the catalysts are up, which tells me, I mean, this is the rune right here, and then the red orangish is the catalyst. And they're both kind of doing the same thing, you know what I'm saying? Like they're both going, you know, just basically the same graph, which is kind of cool. Just tells me that there's less of these coming in the market, which means, I mean, less people are doing Yama. I know a lot of people are doing Doom, which is interesting that it's not. And then Sire, I don't think anyone does Sire. And then Leviathan is a little bit rare, and I don't think a lot of people are doing Leviathan right now. So I think a lot of this is solely coming from Mocha. And it just tells me that either, I know Mocha rares were going up for a while and then they were going down. You know, I'm not really sure. I think Ether runes are just becoming more popular in general, and then they're just, the volume of them is not enough to keep up with demand, obviously. So we're just seeing this increase in price activity. And I think, again, with the events that are coming out, you know, they're going to see a trajectory of going down like this. And then when we see these PvM updates and more updates about that, we're going to know, you know, our Thrall's going to be good, is Death Charge going to be good, is what's that spell, Ward of Arceus, is that going to be useful? We're going to see this come back up, and I think this will be a really interesting graph to track over the next couple months. And then finally, we have the DMM items. I had another comment on my last video asked me to give my thoughts about this. I think it's very interesting that these are going down so much. I know one of the weapon scrolls just crossed under 40 mil this week. It's at 38 right now. The blueprints are hovering around 50. They're all down for the week, which is, I mean, they're all going to go down for the week if one of them is down, because they can be interchanged and you can use the points for whatever you want. But I think it's really interesting that they are still going down, because they were just added to the Death's Coffer, so people were buying them to put money into that. They are non-refundable, so when you use them, they don't come back. You know, if you use it on the Void Waker, it doesn't come back, so it's gone forever. To me, these are like mini discontinued rares, because they are essentially that until the next DMM comes out. But I know a lot more people did DMM this year. I know a lot of people are hoarding their points to spend in like 6 months down the road for when these items probably top out in 6 months. Like I said, these are super volatile items. They can change, 20, 30 mil in a day, especially, or at least they could back then. I'm not sure if that's going to happen now. I mean, you can see right up until DMM 2 came out, these items were at their peak for like the year at that point, and they were at like 177 mil, and then they crashed down to like 38, and then they kind of came back up when they entered the market, and then they've just been going on a steady downward trend since. And I find that really interesting because these items aren't coming back until the next Deadman, which will be in probably over a year. So I still think these are a good buy. I still think you're going to want to buy at least one of these, especially with them being at historic lows. I bought mine for 38 mil, and I think they're at 38 mil now. They're at my cost basis, which is crazy. So a good time to buy, maybe even if you wanted to put them in for like 35, just to see if you can get a lower price. I mean, anything's possible. I don't think they're going to go below that, but I mean, it is possible for sure. But we're going to keep an eye on this, every week now, because I'm also really interested in this. I got some skin in the game on this one, so I do want to know what's going on with these. But yeah, so very interesting behavior going on there. But that's all I have for you guys today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you stayed for the whole thing, I think if you're seeing this, it means I can upload videos that are longer than 15 minutes now, so that'll be great if I can do that. If not, I had another shorter video. But if you guys want me to add anything to this, please let me know. This was a busy week. I don't expect future weeks to be this long. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you're interested in seeing some more of this, and I will see you all on next Friday, April 3rd. April 3rd. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.